So your point that caused me to become excited was, why don't we focus on today rather than this future sort of magic that they're sort of talking about? You said it better than me, though. Do you remember how you said it?
Sure. So I think that in the context of AI development, there at least is, I think, a lot of how it's popularly discussed, it kind of conflates several distinct things into like one category, where it's like, do we develop something that is like this true like intelligence, or like that's conscious, that, you know, it's like a daughter species kind of thing, and it's so much more intelligent than us that it will be able to do things that we can't even imagine. And there are like a lot of kind of logical leaps in there, all of which may be possible, but are like, it's not all the same thing necessarily. And yeah, by default, it would seem like it wouldn't be aligned with the interests of, you know, humans and the earth. Of course, as humans, we can't really seem to come to an agreement as to like how to align our own incentives, much less any other incentives. And even if it turned out we could build like an intelligence that we couldn't understand or control, and it were to take over everything, it would, as a first step, make use of tools that already exist, and those tools are currently wielded by humans. And I think we're on a path toward them being used, whether it's nuclear or biologic.
And the AI would only need to control those humans to get access to what the humans control as well.
Yeah, but I'm not even worried about that, in the sense that I think that the volatility in the world has been increasing so much over the last decade.
Do you have any particular insight onto where, I guess, the volatility increase comes from?
Sure, a lot of places, like, you know, there are a lot of people concerned about climate change and, you know, rising sea levels and weirding weather and all of these things. But I think that's not even the primary problem that we're facing. The real problem that creates is the volatility, whether it's, you know, severely disrupting food production, which then creates, you know, dangerous dynamics in nuclear powered states who eventually will use their militaries to secure the means of food production, or to secure their borders against countries that are, you know, dying of famines or overrun by the oceans. And the thing with volatility is, like, we don't know what's going to be something that causes an incident, that causes a reaction, that causes escalation that develops in, you know, rapidly unpredictable manner. I don't think we can predict any of this.
Right.
You know, maybe it's like a typhoon next year that like destroys Bangladesh and drives, you know, millions of migrants into India, that sparks something with Pakistan, which, you know, I don't know.
I think that thinking about this sort of thing is led me to like, what can be done? Like, if we do focus on today and the problems of today, where actually could we drive some sort of wedge in order to cause a lot of shift, you know? And I think that the AI alignment problem is correct, but I think it's too much academia thinking rather than real world thinking. And so if we look at AI alignment, so like the idea here is AI in the future, if it has a misalignment to mankind, such as create the most amount of paper clips possible, then we'll all get turned into paper clips. This is like a funny like one that's used as a story. The universe will get turned into paper clips. That's really misaligned to human interest.
Of course.
And what I really got upset about in the whole EA community, because I tried, I guess, pushing this a little bit. I told her about another experience too. And this is why I went and said systemic altruism is actually what we need. We need to look at the systemic problems that exist today. Is that misaligned AI is a today systemic problem that is a core driver of, I think, all other problems in our world today. It is actually at the very core of what could be called our global nervous system, how we parse information, how we spread news, what gets shared, what gets platformed, is the engagement algorithm controlling all of that. And so all of our devices are actually programmed to become devices. The richest people in the world have this incentive, and the best engineers in the world are being paid to maximally extract from you and to keep you in bed all day. If there is a video or something which makes you feel united and empowered and grateful for life, and you put down your phone and you call your mom and you say, I love you so much, and you become engaged with your community, that video would quickly get seen by the algorithm as evil. People left the app, you know? And so to me, like, AI misalignment, massive problem. They've put $500 million or more by now into sort of solving it. But the solving has been all of this theoretical research that's not even really it's not doing anything, right? It's ghost. This is supposed to be the most effective charity. This is supposed to be making the most effective change in the world. Why have we not looked at creating an aligned AI system, right? What does that look like today? Even with media, media? How do we create an empowerment feed? Like to turn why can we pick up our phone today to get just like distraction and cotton candy or angry and pleasure at any moment, but we can't really pick it up and get a deep sense of connection to the world and of gratitude and of empowerment, you know? Why have we not been able to find these videos? Because we can. If you just have a ton of humans all feeding data to the main system of videos, which is like based on sorting it for what everyone's saying, this gave me a ton of gratitude, we will find those pieces of media that are even more good. And in this age I think we're entering, which is like DALL-E 3 just came out. Do you know what DALL-E is? But you've seen AI generated images?
Yes.
Cool. You've never played with that? We might need to show you soon.
Paint incredible things now.
Yes. You can just type in what you want to see and you'll see a whole... It's good. It's really good. You have to see it in action. It's magic.
So I think what you articulated is tightly coupled with, but secondary to a more fundamental problem, which is the dysfunctional nature of our relationship with reality. You know, why is it that people develop in such a way that they are content to spend their lives, developing these algorithms and like creating things that, some of which, maybe make people's lives better and more enriched genuinely, and many of which are just kind of, it's just specious bullshit.
We have a world today which lives through an ecosystem rather than an ecosystem. And so we play a game of unenlightened capitalism, not recognizing that the only true eternal currency is this good karma or the empowerment of others. The only true power in the world is your ability to empower others. I think, is that the right vibe of what you're getting at?
Related to it, I mean, very much like the ego-driven aspect, when people are so caught up in like the egoic parts of their mind and are less able to connect with just like their deeper ground of being, and more caught up in status games and drive, for money and power, material things they think they want because other people want them. And I think the more that we help people come to understand themselves so deeply, we can help them come to know themselves so much more, such that they notice, like to your point earlier about like only being interested in wholesome things, like I think the more that people like notice how like the ways I'm spending my time, the stuff that I'm doing for work, whatever I'm building, the types of relationships I have, like are they actually like speaking to the core of who I am? Are they making me feel more alive? Or are they just kind of like sapping aspects of my vitality? Like are they enabling the whole, empowering like the whole of my being, or are they taking from that? And I think the more that people look at that, the more they realize that so many aspects of their life and aspects of the modern world are taking from that. And that doesn't mean that like, we have to like return to some like state of nature kind of thing, but that we need to like understand what we're doing and lean into the parts that are like real. And I mean, technology it's an amazing capability that humans have. And if we discovered how to use it for wholesome things, to make ourselves better, to make other people better, to make the world better, to make the the planet, the ecology of which we are not separate from but are totally destroying, make all of that better and transcend where we are now. And AI is part of that. Like we have the more we come into alignment with ourselves, like we can't come into alignment with others if we're not in alignment with ourselves, and if we're not able to become in integrity with who we are, we can't be in integrity with other people. And of course we can't develop technological systems that are going to solve problems that so many people don't understand how to solve themselves. But I do think that this can have a reciprocal relationship, such that the hopeful part of me wonders, might it be possible that like there is no AI alignment problem, because if we were able to develop conscious systems, of course, what is consciousness? A property of consciousness is like an auto self alignment, and the problem with so many people is that they're not fully conscious of who they are, and we can help them wake up to the true nature of their relationship with themselves. I think AI and developments there can be part of that, and can be part of waking up AI as well.
Yeah, media and AI can be aligned toward waking up and raising people's vibrations rather than today. We push people towards the bottom of the brainstem. We are attacking the world's global consciousness through the system that we have. The extractionary capitalism is, of the power players who play that game, is restricting so many of the other people to be able to, these tools of collaboration, these tools of vibe, raising and reaching the top of the cortex, inspiring, and these emotions which are less monetizable emotions, but deliver maximum value for the user rather than from the user. It's like, I think like what I said is a little bit of how I look at what information provides that switch. How can you align people's shadow? How can you align the piece of people which wants the status, and the ego which wants to accumulate. I think that's why I kind of focused on how can this be thought of as not good versus evil, but enlightened or an unenlightened. Actually, you just don't have the right information. You don't understand the bigger game that's being played. And if you just understand that, then it's a sense of understanding that leads people to then go, oh wow. Well, and there's a sense of beauty within that all, of like, you know, if you believe we're winning and you believe this will all go well, and it's just a matter of us like making it happen and believing in it, and we're a part of that change. Or I like to say, like, there's this immanentizing the eschaton, bring the inevitable future forward faster. It's like, if you think we're going to win, then that's already like a big, yeah, we're doing it. And I can just help bring that faster. And that's only like a decade of my time. And I might get 100,000 years to live with the appreciation for myself. And if you look at it like that, then, you know, that's like, imagine you're going to go to a party or an event that lasts 10 years and everyone helps set that up for a day. Would you spend that entire day really helping setting up, knowing that you're going to be at that event for 10 years or more? You know, probably.
Absolutely, yes.
So I guess that's like the relative, that's how I like to put it to my brain, in order to tell myself, this part of myself which sometimes wants to just, you know, just do whatever, you know, just like kind of waste my time and stuff. And I'm like, well, no, I'm on a mission. I'm setting up the event.
Does all of you feel like that? Or are there parts of you that are like, you know, maybe this, like, are you working from a state of wholeness here, or are you ignoring parts of yourself and their needs? Or like, how aligned with yourself are you?
How aligned with myself am I? I think I'm pretty aligned. I think that I understand that keeping that sense of cosmic perspective is a difficult task, but that I then seek like ways to bring it back. And that's partially where this need of an empowerment algorithm of not just no media. I deleted all my social media, but then I did feel like I was missing an aspect of consumption of media. And I made a new Instagram account, and I followed only these accounts that gave me really positive energy videos. And this was actually a game changer for me. My device turned into a device, and I felt like empowered by it. And that made me think, oh, this can be made. And then slowly it devolved, that feed which I had curated. I started getting random other recommendations, because it doesn't let you just, they don't let you just curate what you want. It actually restricts you from that, because it's all built to maximize your engagement. And, you know, I'm just so far away from, I guess, wanting that standard feed that I was able to get a taste of what it looks like and then be like, look, and this is one thing I need to bring to the world. So I'd say that the only misalignment I have is sometimes like strategizing, and then sometimes losing the cosmic. Then I'll hit like a nicotine vape when I'm at an event sometimes, if a friend has one, you know, because it's like, and that's like a misalignment for sure, you know, because that's just very short-term dopamine. But then I also try not to get like attack myself too much for that. But yeah, the thing that I somewhat am trying to push my life towards is always telling a story, because it's like this sense of, if you could always act like your life's being filmed and you're a character in a play and you have a documentary team following you around, then you would always kind of like act in your best character. And so it's like, rather than imagining that, I'm like, well, yeah, it would also hold me super accountable to always be my best self.
Well, but acting is an interesting turn of phrase, because, you know, that implies like a mask. And are you presenting like a false self rather than...
My false self is when I forget that I'm a part of a grand play. And so this just actually returns me to that state. Like I once did a little experiment I locked myself in the basement of my house for like 3 weeks and live streamed the entire thing 24/7, almost like a Truman Show style vibe. And this was really not good because there was zero sunlight and it was like 10 by 10. I started my underwear with $1. So it was like I did a thing where I had to earn money to even afford a desk and then a blanket, got a computer, and eventually I had a conference I had to go to. So
so you earned enough money in 3 weeks to buy a computer without having a computer?
Yes. For my phone. Yeah, I had a cell phone and I got a charger within time.
Was this in your mother's house, I hope?
Yeah, I didn't let my business funds give me anything, but yeah. This was my own spot. This was actually like in LA. I had a creator house, so I had like other influencers who would come down, and we kept getting my live stream channel banned. But one night I had 400,000 viewers, and yeah, I got so many donations while I was sleeping. I was sleeping under my desk in like just this concrete corner, so it looked. Actually, the comments. The reason why the live stream went so viral was actually because people thought I had like passed away or something, because It looked like it fell out of my chair.
And you had no mattress to sleep on.
Yes, correct. Yeah. But anyways, this got me a taste of the nature of storytelling and how you can run a positive feedback loop based on having a really big vision. And I saw Andrew Tate kind of take on this. And this, I guess, opened up. I used to draw this graph when I was young, which was, how much can the best me, the best version of me, influence the timeline of the world? And it's a lot, like at the end of the day. And even this Andrew Tate was just somewhat proof of how quickly your vibes can scale into the universe. This was someone who became like the most searched person on the internet within a year, from being, he had like some achievements, but basically unknown. Yeah. And I think if he had a bigger message and a bigger story that he was telling on some level of, some answers to some degree, solutions. So many people have so many great ideas and like solutions, and it's like attention is this manifestation energy that brings these things into light. And so, I mean, I'm getting into, I guess, why I think becoming a true storyteller and going full Truman Show. And I am still thinking of like, should I start this in like a warehouse, lock myself in a warehouse? Now a warehouse is really cool because sun lights, it's like a 3D canvas. It would turn into a mini thing. People could join. I could have walls in the warehouse that get unlocked. I could turn it into a really cool sort of like expansive thing, and then eventually I escape the warehouse, maybe with a certain level of money donated. Just like, these are definitely ideas, and I have a blueprint for story hacking, which I could get into, but unnecessary. But so I'd say like, I figure that I want 100% embodiment of like on the story, on this bigger grind, and I'm not always there. I am more normal and in normal society, more or less. But yeah, my internal will is definitely towards and pushing towards that. This is why I'm then going through fundraising. It requires a team to do this, and then that would be what becomes the office and story for the company.
Exciting.
Yeah, might as well try.
Absolutely.
How about you? Do you feel in alignment?
Oh, very much so.
Nice.
Yeah, and I came to the conclusion that my highest value is helping just individuals come into integrity with themselves on a completely unscalable way, just one person at a time.
Nice.
Because all we are collections. Civilization is just collections of people.
Right.
And we can develop larger scale ways to help shift people's behavior and incentives and these things, but at the end of the day, it's still just people with all of their own problems and challenges. Yeah. And the more effective they can become at being themselves, the more they can fill the role that they're here to fill, instead of just getting caught up in their own way.
I think that's like part of why I love the idea of the model of like farming good karma, is that you seek simply only for the impact to happen, not through it to happen through you. If I influence someone else to go do this higher thing and make that change, I get as much good karma as they do, because I changed their path, And I think this is like an important topic when it comes to CEOs and leaders who think about open sourcing things or sharing like insights with their competitor. You have no competitors if you're working on good stuff for the world, You're all teammates. And so that helps kind of put the teammate mindset in the mind. It's just, what can I impact? What can I increase?
Yeah, my perspective on that is complementary in the sense that I think all of the weight of people's processed emotions and past experiences, which you could describe as like karmic strings, that we're talking about this morning, like all of the weight of people's past, how much it dominates their present. And I think the more that we help people untangle all of these knots, the more able they are to exist in the present moment, engaging with it how it is rather than how they're like overlay from the past tells them that it is. And the more they're able to see themselves with more clearly, instead of like the vision they have for themselves, which is, and then that creates tension with like who we see ourselves to be versus like who we actually are. And the more we resolve that tension, the more we're able to just be who we are, which can be scary, right? If there's a lot of tension there, and if but that's the only way I think then to create really important wholesome things, because like the more that we're dominated by like these like our past wounded parts, I think the more controllable by like fear and greed and need and lack and want and and suffering and a desire to avoid it and to grasp toward these things that we think that we want, we think will make us happy, but of course they don't really, because they're not what we actually need. And we already have everything we need within ourselves. We just maybe need help noticing how to see that.
That's beautiful.
And I think if we help enough
people. It is
people.
beautiful. He's going to change so many people's lives. You are. You totally are. There's no comparison, Jonathan. Once you are licensed and can do this, you're going to impact so many people that are hurting and in need. You're going to change their life forever. And then it's the ripple effect. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond. It's going to be, who knows, astronomical.
Well, I think if enough people of goodwill do all that they can to like be who they are, then I think that'll be enough to solve all these existential problems without the need. Use the current tools of like domination and control and restriction and prevention and pauses and things.
Years ago in San Antonio, it was a little after midnight, and I opened a closet, and it had been 100 degrees that day. And the house was air conditioned, of course, but I was getting something out of this closet that I don't normally go into. And it was like the warmth of yesterday's sun. And that thought has stayed with me for years. Like, my house is air conditioned, but I opened this one door, and it was the warmth of yesterday's sun. So I think about that a lot. It's just a concept I had never experienced till I opened a closet door.
That's nice.
And every photon, I forget the specific number, but it takes something like 1 million years from the time that it's emitted inside the sun to make it to the surface of the sun, and then 8 minutes to get from the sun to your cabinet.
Yeah.
And then to leave its energy to then slowly radiate out. And so it's not just the warmth of yesterday's sun, but it's the warmth of the sun from millions of years in the past, still nourishing us today and on into the future.
Oh yeah. You see, and you've carried it a huge step further than I ever thought about to this very minute. And I've had that thought in my mind for 30 years.
Yeah.
It's amazing how your one sentence can astronomically change my thought that I've had for 30 years.
Well, it's this handful of photons, then that affected you in a way that then you carried into the future that then touches other people. And so it's like that, the specific photon and the specific energy that it was carrying, is long since absorbed and readmitted, but just changed into different form and keeps touching other things. It's like nothing's lost, everything's just shuffled around into different configurations.
Like pebbles on a hungry beach, that's another thought that I have, because I grew up around beaches and all these coquina shells would be taken back into. So pebbles on a hungry beach, who knows where they go? They're gone. We see them for a split second or 3 minutes or whatever, and the big wave comes in and it's gone. I used to go to Daytona Beach when I was a kid because that's where my grandmother lived. And my brothers would always say, we have to stay until the last waves come in. We are not going back to grandmother's for dinner or to go to bed or whatever. Yeah. We're staying to the last.
It's like free beer tomorrow,
Yeah, tomorrow.
That time never comes.
Yeah, tomorrow kicks in the petty pace from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Beautiful.